Hello, I'm Helen Adamou from Aphrodite Weddings and Events. As it says, I'm an event and wedding planner. And as you can imagine, things have not been the easiest of times through. To be honest, in this country, there's a little bit of a mentality of wanting to do their weddings themselves, a lot of people, so they don't realize the advantages that you can have or what a wedding planner can actually do, or even go as far as a lot of people think it's extremely expensive and that it's a luxury and they don't want to go down that route, whereas what they don't realize is that I can actually save them money. But anyhow, that to one side, COVID and this pandemic has just been, I don't like to use the word disaster, but it kind of feels a little bit for our industry that it has been a disaster because, as you can imagine, people had their weddings and other events, of course. It's not just weddings, but weddings tends to be a very special thing that people plan and look forward to way in advance, suddenly found themselves not being able to get married and not knowing what was going to happen. And it isn't just for the couples and just for people like myself as well in the industry, it's also for venues. So for the whole thing, we all kind of, the emotions I cannot even describe. I mean, trying to speak to couples and sort of get them to sort of calm down and sort of, well, not calm down, but sort of empathize with them and say to them, look, I totally understand where you're coming from. The venues didn't quite know what they were doing, because we were all in unprecedented times. Nobody knew what on earth was going to happen. So once the initial shock all happened and I kind of spoke to the people that I was dealing with that had ongoing things that we kind of just put on hold and said there's not a lot more than that we can do. I then sort of sat back and found myself sitting at home on my own. I work for myself at home on my own. I'm single, so it was suddenly like, oh my God, I don't know where the next thing's going to happen. I don't know where my next pay packet's going to come from, and all these things. And then on top of that, I'm very much a people person, which is why I love my job, because I love being in the hustle and bustle and around with everybody and being busy. That's one of my biggest things. I love being busy. I cannot just sit at home and do nothing. I found myself not being able to see my friends, not being able to see my family, not having work, not having the business to keep my brain occupied. And suddenly I slumped. I just had a complete meltdown. And thank goodness for my friends around me that are also in business, so they kind of understood. And we just one day on a Zoom call that all of us were, they all sort of said, well, you're very quiet, Helen, and that doesn't happen very often. So people know when I'm quiet, something's wrong. And I just burst out crying. And I said, I don't know what to do. I'm not busy. And I don't know if you can, I mean, when our minds don't have things to keep us busy, it makes up all kinds of scenarios and drives us crazy. And that's where I was at. Having suffered with my health, knowing that a lot of it is to do with negative mindset, I found myself every day slipping and thinking, no, I can't go back to what I used to be. But it's the mind that gets us in that place. So I had to really battle every day to sort of try and keep myself going. And so, I'm worrying about everybody else. I'm worrying about my parents. I'm worrying about everything. And I just couldn't deal with it, to be honest with you. Thank goodness for my friends. They realised that obviously something wasn't right, and they just started to talk me through it and just sort of say, why are you feeling so lost? And so and they said, look, Helen, what is it that you can control? And I said to them, don't laugh at me, guys, but I seem to be cleaning the house. And they said, that's fine. If that's helping you feel that you're in control, nothing wrong with that. And funnily enough, they all said, do you want to come round to mine and do it as well? It's like, yeah, no, social distancing doesn't allow me to do that. So I did that. And then in conversation with another friend, to be honest with you, I don't know what I would have done without my friends and family as well. I think I would have totally have gone a little bit loopy. But anyway, chatting to a friend of mine who does run some football tournaments, because I was going to be helping them organise an event, which of course also got postponed. And he was saying how he was now doing these, because of social distancing, they couldn't run the football tournaments for youth anymore. They came up with a wonderful idea about doing spin-off at 3. So it was cycling, and then run off at 3. So it was running, walking, it was all sorts of different things. And I thought to myself, well, do you know what? Why don't I try and help? And he said, well, do you mind? Are you okay to help her? And I thought, absolutely. I thought, if I can't do anything, and yes, money's a worry, but thank goodness for my family once again, because I would have lost, although I have to say my landlords were very understanding and helping me out. But if it wasn't for family, I would have been out of house and home, to be honest, because there was no income at all. But I thought, at least this way it stops my brain running away with itself and making up all these scenarios, and I can help. And I threw myself into this, and he ran from one thing to another, and I was doing flyers, I was doing videos, funnily enough, like creating videos, which is something I've said for a very long time I wanted to do for the business, but I just never really did it. And I thought, well, I've learned how to make videos now. And I have to say, a lot of people, that was one of my breaking points, I think, when I was watching. Sometimes social media is fantastic. Sometimes it can't be very helpful. And one day it broke for me because everyone was saying, oh, this is fantastic. We've now got all the time in the world to do all these things we've wanted to do. And I felt like saying, but my brain's not in the right place. I can't concentrate on any of these things. So this was a bit of a lifesaver for me, to be honest with you. And they did quite a few events that I helped out with. And I felt that I was actually achieving something, even though it wasn't paid work, but I didn't mind. I was doing something, and I was doing it for a good cause. So it really, really helped me. And so I started to come out of that crazy time. And I then started to find myself and start to get a bit of a more of a positive mindset and start thinking, okay, I've come through it kind of the other end now, and things started to open up a little bit with, you could see a friend in the garden, or you could see your family, and that started to help. And although obviously still the future of events and weddings is completely uncertain, I was thinking, how else can it work? And with how everybody's been going online and Zoom and everything, I thought, well, hang on. I was unfortunate to also attend a funeral and live stream it. And I thought, wow, hang on a minute, maybe there's a bit of a way here that I can combine something like live streaming and Zooming, but for weddings, and so that people can feel more involved, even though they're not physically going to be at the wedding, but at least there's some interaction there. So I'm hot off the press. This has not been finalised yet, but I'm in works at the moment with a videographer, and we're finding technology and we're putting things together to try and put this, because now obviously they've said the government guidelines is that you're allowed up to 30 people. I'm a little worried how long that will last, because with the latest thing today of social gatherings going back down to 6, who knows what's going to happen with weddings and events again. However, it's just something that I'm thinking, because I also do weddings abroad as well. Hence the name Aphrodite Weddings is Greek Cypriot. My family are Greek Cypriot, and Aphrodite is the goddess of love. So that's where the name came from. So I do specialise in weddings in Cyprus as well. And I was thinking there's always maybe an elderly grandparent or a close friend that you want to be there, and they really want to be there, but they either can't afford it, or they can't travel, or can't get childcare, for whatever the reason is. And I thought, actually, this is probably a good thing that I could do, not just for now with COVID, which obviously will be required right now, but something that I can also roll out longer term for other couples that can't. So it's amazing how, when you go into a free fall, when you just don't know, it's the unknown, and it's like someone pulling the carpet from under you. And it's not just me, of course it's not, it's for everybody, we're all in, but it's I think the event industry and the travel industry are the ones that have been hit the most. And funnily enough, I used to work in the travel industry for 20 odd years, so they're the two businesses that are close to my heart. That is just it's just so sad that this has happened, and it affects there's not one person that this has not affected, but the industries, and I don't know how we're going to come back from this, to be honest with you. I hope to God that we'll be able to pick things back up again soon, but who knows. It's been a tough time, but I think we're starting to see some light at the end of the tunnel, although she says with today's latest news. But let's hope that we can all be sensible again and get it back under control and move forwards. But to be honest, I can't see any time before Christmas any larger gatherings happening at all, and who knows into the new year when. And so I think that this idea is probably going to be something that could be good for the future, to be honest. At least it gives couples the chance to do something and have other people involved that they want. They can't physically be there.